good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Rockstarflipper YouTube channel. Today's September 12th, 2018, and I happen to be on a Wednesday outside of a store I'm not allowed to go inside of. So those of you new to the channel might be wondering why I wouldn't be allowed to go inside of a Sprint store. Well, it's a long story, and I'll link the story about my lawsuit with Sprint, a legal situation that I had with Sprint some years back, down in the description box below. But long story short, I agreed not to go inside of Sprint stores or do business with Sprint ever again. Now, none of these employees probably know who I am or know about this agreement that Sprint and I have. Probably wouldn't get in any trouble. Not going to go in, not going to risk it. I am in a shopping center, so this isn't their property. They're just tenants. But the reason I'm here is because a lot of you guys asked about buying and selling cell phones, and I did a video about the risks of selling cell phones, about how they are the highest risk, highest profit potential item on eBay. And so since we were talking about sell-through rates and stores having low sell-through rates and high sell-through rates, I want to take you inside of eBay and show you some of the sell-through rates on cell phones. I want to tell you about the money that you can make, the potential, the percentages, and all that stuff. We're going to go over to my computer and take a look at what is involved with buying and selling cell phones on eBay. And then I'm going to tell you guys the story of what started with our troubles in the cell phone market, reverting back to Sprint, and how everything, went south in the cell phone world when I was buying and selling them, and how I almost ended up getting arrested 5 years ago. Over 5 years ago, almost got arrested for something that ended up not even being criminal, not being illegal, and totally working out in my favor, which is one, the reason I didn't get arrested, two, the reason that nothing became of it, and three, the reason that I stopped selling cell phones because of the risk, even when you're not doing anything wrong, of what bad stuff can happen. So I want to tell you guys that story, and then we'll take a look at eBay and show you what kind of money you can make if you decide to take this risk.
Okay, I brought you guys to my eBay store because I want you to see some samples of some eBay sellers that have been doing cell phones for quite a while. So this account is called Diana_sells, C-E-L-L-S, with 24,243 feedback, 99.7. The problem is, and don't ask me how I know this, I know it through years of research and through contacting this seller, this is not the seller. Diana is not the person that owns this account. This account is ran and owned by a Russian guy. Trust me, you can Google it, look it up. He's using her as a way to sell the merchandise. He also used to use her to make videos of her saying how good her customer service is. He would post it everywhere until eBay stopped allowing those videos. So look at what he posts in the videos now. Picture of her sniffing a flower. He is absolutely going after that. Diana's promise to you, she's always had this, and it's just a sales marketing tip. Trust me, that is not the person that owns this account. She does work for him or is attached to him in some capacity. Married, sister, whatever, daughter, cousin, I don't know. But she is not the person that owns this account. She might be working on it, so I guess that's okay, but it's certainly used for the marketing tactics. Now, here's the actual account, and they currently have 198 items active. That's not very much. If you said that about a clothing seller, we would expect that they were only selling 1 or 2 items a day, probably making 30 or 40 bucks in sales. That's not too much. I mean, $1,000 bucks, $1,200 at best. Well, let's go over to Diana's solds. 1,385 sold results, and this is sorted by 90 days. That comes out to 15 per day average with only 200 active. Now look at September 12th, which is today. As of this video about 8 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sold already. 400 and 140 is 540. 200 is 740. 220 is 960. Plus 320 is 1280. Plus 170 is 1450. Plus 90 is 1540, plus 241, $1,781 today. $1,781 on 8 items, giving that an average of $222 an item. So if we do the 15 per day average and we times that by 30 days, they're on pace to do like at least 60, 70,000 a month, even on a low end, average sales with only 198 listings. Is that crazy? Does that blow your guys' mind? Let's look at another one. This one belongs to a company called, I believe they are called Selfie. Correct. Selfie. Okay. Selfie. How funny is that? They have a 97.5%. Now, again, high risk. There are a lot of negatives to be had in the cell phone world. They're at 97.5. They're a little bit low, but for cell phones, it's not all that low. We come over here and look at their actives. They have 317 active listings. Again, we come over to their solds, and they have 291 sold. Look at September 12th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 sold today, yesterday. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. 30 units sold, mixed of tech, phones, couple little accessories, watches. They are literally selling this stuff faster than they can list it. So that's Selfie. Let's look at one more. Now, I know hundreds and hundreds of these. This company is called MyWit. Again, they have 97.3, quite a few negatives, 347 active, and 371 sold. Today's solds: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 sold today. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, man, 32, 34, 34 units sold yesterday, probably for something in the neighborhood of $3,000 or $4,000 if I had to guess. At least, maybe even 5,000. Today's sales, I mean, 315 and 260 is what, 575 and two of them. 875, 935, 1035, 1075, 1175, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's a 519, 22. They've done $2,300 plus today, $2,400 today, and it's not even over yet. Now, what is their profit margin? Because everyone's going to start saying, okay, so who cares how much they sell? What's their margin? Well, it's definitely not like it is in clothing, but let's take a phone, for example, here. They're at $315. So they are doing top rated plus. They do offer free returns. So they're only paying 9%. So $28.35 is the eBay fee. And the PayPal fee is $9.44, right? $9.44 plus the eBay fee is $37.79. They're going to pay for insurance, shipping, confirmation, and the shipping is going to be first class, probably just say $10 in shipping. They're out about $48. So the $315 minus $48 puts them $267 in pocket. My guess, they're probably working at about maybe 30% margin, which would mean if they're pocketing, like 315 minus 48, if they're pocketing 267, I'm going to guess that they're making about a $90 profit. So they paid $175 for that in order to sell it and make, their $75, 60, 70, 80 bucks. So assuming they're working on, let's even say 25% margins, and they did 2,500 today, they made $625 profit, which would put them at 19 grand in profit for the month. It's probably higher. It's probably 20, 25,000, if not more. I mean, they did a $5,200 day one day. So, $5,200 at 25% is $1,300. That would put them on pace to do 40,000 in profit with only 300 listings active. 347. So you guys can see how this business can just explode. It takes a lot of capital. If they paid $175 for this phone and they have 347 phones that they even if they just averaged $100 cost of goods on each, that's $35,000 in cost. They probably have $40,000 or $50,000 in inventory at least. So it does take money sitting, and you have to constantly be able to keep buying, buying 2, 3, 4, 5 phones a day and listing them, and then buying 3, 4, 5 phones the next day. You're going to be spending hundreds of dollars a day, but very high risk, very high reward. Look, they have sold 5,600 of these phones at $340. That is nuts. I just realized how many they've sold. So if we do that math, they've sold $1.9 million in iPhone 7s. They've sold the next one down, 170 times 3828. They've sold $650,000 worth of this phone. I mean, that's incredible. Look, the $513 phone, they sold $548. They sold 296. This store sells millions and millions of dollars in phones with only 347 active. So I thought I'd give you guys a little look into the world of electronics and cell phones. It's very profitable. It's insanely risky. It is insanely a huge business with big flashy numbers. And you're welcome to get into it, guys, but heed my warning.
Okay, so how did we almost get arrested buying and selling cell phones? Well, it's actually pretty easy, and it's a long story, but I'll make it really short for you guys. When we were in the cell phone business and we were buying and selling used cell phones, we also bought brand new ones, but mainly we bought used ones. We started networking and meeting all of the employees that worked for cell phone shops like you see in the shopping center at the Sprint store and inside of the malls at the kiosk, all the little covered wagon looking things inside of the mall. And so we ended up getting to know dozens of employees at every company who would get the used trade-in. So somebody would come in and trade in a phone, or perhaps they would come in and not trade in the phone because maybe Sprint would only offer them $50 in trade-in, and the employee knew that we would pay $100. So the customer would come and get the $100 from us, which would allow us to make money, and we would give the employees a kickback. Totally legal, totally good with them. As far as whether it was good for the employment policies that they signed working for those companies, that's none of our business. If they got themselves fired, that was on them. Now, I know that sounds bad, but it's not illegal. It might be immoral, and that's on them. That's not on us. We're in the business of buying and selling phones at this point. So all we told those employees was, hey, we buy phones. Here's a list of our prices. If you can get us phones, by all means. If you send us customers, refer customers, we'll pay you a referral fee, 20 bucks a phone or something like that, 10 bucks, 20 bucks. And so that's what would happen. Now, did we know they were probably steering customers away from Sprint or away from Verizon? It's possible. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. We had no way to know. We don't sit in these stores all day. All we simply do is provide them a list of prices and buy the phones when they come in. Now, we always checked if they're stolen. We always check if they're fraudulent. Of course, we check all that before we buy it. But as long as it was good, we're just the guys buying the phones. So with that being said, we made relationships with all of these stores. And some of the stores didn't do trade-ins or buybacks, so they were more than happy to send them our way. Most of the stores, in fact, at the time, didn't have proper buyback programs. So it was perfectly okay. Now, one of these employees at a Sprint store across town actually got fired by Sprint. Now, it didn't have anything to do with us. He got fired for like not showing up to work or missing days or whatever the case might have been. And the day he got fired, he had a spare key to the kiosk to open the cabinets. And so what happened was he kept that spare key, went back to the kiosk, I think after hours, broke into it, unlocked the cabinets and stole like a bunch of phones. And then once he stole those phones, he of course contacted us because he knew we would buy them. Now, we had a relationship with this guy. We knew he was a Sprint employee. We knew that everything was good, and so we had no reason to doubt that there was anything up with these phones, that they were stolen. Now, also, we had his real information, his license, all of his information on file. He had signed, paperwork with us agreeing to sell us phones. So we had everything that was real information that we thought on him. And so that was no big deal. We had no reason to suspect anything. Well, we bought those phones late in an afternoon, call it a Monday, and Tuesday morning, 8 or 9 a.m., we came into our office and we sold the phones. We sold them to a customer that we had completely across the country in California. And we shipped those phones out at like noon that day. We literally called that guy at noon. It was 9 a.m. his time. He wired our bank the money. We put them in a box. We dropped them off at USPS. They were gone. The following day, so that was on Tuesday. We bought them Monday afternoon. On Tuesday, they shipped out. And then on Wednesday, we had a detective show up to our building informing us that there had been a robbery, stolen phones at the Sprint store, and did we know anything about it? And of course, we said, no, we don't know anything about it. And they said, do you know anything about these phones? And we said, please provide us the serial number, which we did. And they turned out to be matching. Now, at that time, the phones were gone. We had overnighted them to our customer. They were in Los Angeles at this point, or Burbank or somewhere. And so we told the police. And so they got super mad, and they wanted us to get the phones back. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? There's nothing I could do. Here's who we sold the phones to. You're going to have to go that route. plus we provided them all the buyer's information. Now they had the guy's information because the seller, the thief, because he had been arrested and told him where he sold the phones, which is how they ended up at our building. And so we showed them the call record where we called the phones in stolen. Now the phones had not been reported stolen because the guy stole them overnight and no one knew that they were stolen until, or he had stolen them after closing that day and brought them to us, and no one had reported them stolen until the next day. No one noticed it until like midday the next day. So when we bought them and called them in, they were still good. Sprint had no idea they were stolen. And so we showed him the call log where we called him in. We showed him the buying record, the receipt, the withdrawal we made from the bank to give this guy cash, everything. The only thing that saved our butt. Now, the detective said he still could have arrested us. Probably wouldn't have lasted, probably wouldn't have held, but he could have. Now, he couldn't get us on knowingly dealing in stolen merchandise because we would never do that. We never did. But this is one of the risks that is, you know, incurred when you buy phones. Somebody could steal a phone or multiple phones, somebody that you've done business with even for months and months, which we had, bring you the phone, sell them to you, you call them in stolen, or call them in to ask if they're stolen. They're not. They don't get reported stolen for a day or 2 or 3 days later perhaps, and now you're in possession of a stolen piece of merchandise that you may have sold on eBay overnight. You might have taken pictures that night, listed it, it's sold, got up in the morning and shipped it out just like we had. And now you've dealt in stolen merchandise. You didn't knowingly do it, but you've dealt in stolen merchandise. It's called trafficking in stolen merchandise. And so that is where the police and Sprint got super angry with us, super pissed off, and there was nothing they could really do. And that's what angered Sprint. And so they started sending private detectives to watch us and eventually filing a lawsuit based on part of what had happened. So for those of you wanting to sell cell phones, wanting to make all of the money that I just showed you on the computer, that, you know, seeing all those sold listings and those great sell-through rates, please be very, very careful about how you do it. There is a lot of money to be made in the cell phone market. It does require a lot of money. It requires a lot of safety, or a lot of risk, a lot of preparation, a lot of research, a lot of networking, and a whole lot of guts. So just be careful. I can't imagine any of you guys getting in trouble for this. It would devastate me. It would devastate you. It would end your career, end your business. The fact that I came back from it is impressive. Trust me. The amount of money I spent in over a year just to keep myself out of the situation was incredible. $50,000, $60,000. And so I don't think it's worth the risk. For me, it may be for some of you if you go about it correctly. But I got a ton of emails, all of you wanting to sell better items, and a lot of you mentioning cell phones. So I figured I'd put this out there. And a lot of you that still comment out on random videos about how I was a no good person dealing with Sprint, couldn't be farther from the truth. We went about our business correctly. And if I hadn't, I'd probably still be sitting in jail, or I'd be penniless, homeless, etc. Nothing I have has anything to do with the cell phone business. I lost everything I had in the cell phone business. Trust me. $50,000, $60,000 at the time was my entire life savings. That's what I had in the bank, was 50 grand, and it was wiped out in 12 months. So just keep that in mind. I don't have anything I have because of that. I have it because of what I've done since then. And that's moral of the story number 2. Even if you get knocked down, make sure you get back up and keep going with it. Guys, I don't think it's worth your risk. I wouldn't sell cell phones if it was me, but if you're willing to take the risk and you want to email me, feel free. If you have a couple questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Or better yet, leave them in the comment section and I'll get to them as quickly as possible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully now you fully understand why I'm not allowed inside of a Sprint store. Part of what had happened was they didn't want us anywhere near their products, and so they asked us never to come in their stores again. They didn't officially trespass us. They just kind of made us sign some papers that said we wouldn't, and that's the end of the deal. So with that being said, enjoy your afternoon, everybody. Enjoy your evening. And I have a very special video, very serious video coming later, right after this one, for everyone in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, along the East Coast to deal with the hurricanes. I know it's a little bit late, but hopefully for those of you that live in that area, this next video will help you out. So if you are in that area, please check out the next video. It'll be up within an hour of this one. Thanks guys so much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, real important, and I'll see you next time.